Alright, so today we'll be looking at the topic of, can Muslims be friends with Jews, Christians, and non-believers? First, let's take a look at Quran chapter 3 verse 28. It says, "Let not the believers take for friends or helpers unbelievers rather than believers. If any do that, in nothing will there be help from Allah, except by way of precaution, that ye may guard yourselves from them. But Allah cautions you to remember Himself, for the final goal is to Allah." So we see from this verse that Allah is telling Muslims not to take friends or helpers from the unbelievers rather than the Muslims. But let's go to the tafsir of Ibn Abbas to see what his commentary is on the verse. He says, "The believers ought not to take the hypocrites Abdullah ibn Ubay and his companions and disbelievers the Jews for friends, so as to become mighty and honourable in preference to believers, who are sincere. Whoso doth that seeking might and honour by taking the hypocrites and disbelievers as friends, hath no connection with Allah, has no honour, mercy, or protection from Allah, unless it be that ye guard yourselves against them, save yourselves from them, taking as it were security, saving yourselves from them by speaking in a friendly way towards them, while your hearts dislike them." So, we see that Ibn Abbas says that Muslims can't be friends with the Jews and disbelievers, and if they do become friends with them, they have no honor, mercy, or protection from Allah. He also says the only situation a Muslim can be friendly towards disbelievers is if they feel they are in danger. So Muslims can act friendly towards non-Muslims in order to save themselves from any danger they may fear, but inwardly they despise the act of being friendly towards the disbelievers. Now let's go to the tafsir of Ibn Kathir on Quran chapter 3 verse 28 to see what he says about the verse. He says, "Allah prohibited His believing servants from becoming supporters of the disbelievers, or to take them as comrades with whom they develop friendships rather than the believers. Allah warned against such behavior when He said, 'And whoever does that will never be helped by Allah in any way,' meaning whoever commits this act that Allah has prohibited, then Allah will discard him. Similarly, Allah said, 'O you who believe, take not my enemies and your enemies as friends, showing affection towards them, until, and whosoever of you does that, then indeed he has gone astray from the straight path.'" Quran chapter 60 verse 1. So we see so far from the tafsir of Ibn Kathir that he has said that Muslims cannot support or be friends with disbelievers, and that if a Muslim does this, they will be discarded by Allah. Then Ibn Kathir links Quran chapter 60 verse 1, where Allah says, "O you who believe, take not my enemies and your enemies as friends, showing affection towards them, and whoever of you does that, then indeed he has gone astray from the straight path." Now let's continue reading Ibn Kathir's commentary. "O you who believe, take not for friends disbelievers instead of believers. Do not wish to offer Allah manifest proof against yourselves." Quran chapter 4 verses 144. "And, O you who believe, take not the Jews and Christians as friends, they are but friends of each other, and whoever befriends them, then surely he is one of them." Quran chapter 5 verse 51. So we see Ibn Kathir linking Quran chapter 4 verse 144 and chapter 5 verse 51 to show that Muslims can't be friends with disbelievers, Jews and Christians. Let's continue reading Ibn Kathir's commentary. "And those who disbelieve are allies of one another, and if you do not behave the same, there will be fitna and oppression on the earth, and a great mischief and corruption." Quran chapter 8 verse 73. Allah said next, "Unless you indeed fear danger from them," meaning except those believers who in some areas or times fear for their safety from the disbelievers. In cases such believers are allowed to show friendship to the disbelievers outwardly, but never inwardly. For instance, Al-Bukhari recorded that Abu Adrada said, "We smile in the face of some people, although our hearts curse them." Al-Bukhari said that Al-Hasan said, "The taqiyya is allowed until the day of resurrection." So, Ibn Kathir says only when a Muslim fears danger from a disbeliever can the Muslim show friendship towards the disbelievers outwardly, but never have friendship with them inwardly. Then he cites Abu Adraja saying, "We smile in the face of some people, although our hearts curse them," and Al-Hazan saying, "Taqiyya is allowed until the day of resurrection." So it's clear from Quran chapter 3 verse 28 and the commentaries on it that Muslims are not allowed to have friends with disbelievers, Jews and Christians. Now let's go to Quran chapter 4 verse 144, where we see again that Muslims cannot be friends with disbelievers. It says, O you who believe, take not awliya, protectors or helpers or friends, disbelievers instead of believers. Do you wish to offer Allah manifest proof against yourselves? So we see this verse is saying not to take awliya, meaning friends, protectors or helpers, from the disbelievers rather than the believers. Additionally, when we go to the tafsir of Ibn Abbas on Quran chapter 4 verse 144, we see it says, O ye who believe, only outwardly Abdullah ibn Ubay and his followers chose not disbelievers, the Jews, for your friends, in order to gain power in place of believers, instead of sincere believers. Would you, O group of hypocrites, give Allah's messenger a clear warrant against you, a clear proof and reason to kill you? So, we can see that Ibn Abbas comments on Quran chapter 4 verse 144 by saying that Muslims should not take disbelievers, such as Jews, for friends in order to gain power, rather than taking the Muslims for friends. He continues by saying that if a Muslim takes a disbeliever as a friend, then they give Muhammad a reason to kill them. So, it's clear that Quran chapter 4 verse 144 is Allah telling Muslims that they cannot be friends with disbelievers. Moreover, we see a similar statement in Quran chapter 5 verse 51. This verse was revealed when Muhammad was one of the most powerful men in Arabia, and it is the third last chapter of the Quran in order of revelation. It says, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians for your friends and protectors, they are but friends and protectors of each other, and he amongst you that turns to them for friendship is of them. So this verse is Allah telling Muslims that they cannot take the Jews or Christians as friends and protectors, and if they do, they are considered one of them rather than being a Muslim. Let's go to Ibn Kathir's exegesis for Quran chapter 5 verse 51 to see what he says about the verse. He says, Allah forbids his believing servants from having Jews and Christians as friends because they are the enemies of Islam and its people. May Allah curse them. Allah then states that they are friends of each other, and he gives a warning threat to those who do this. And if any among you befriends them, then surely he is one of them. So far in this tafsir, Ibn Kathir has said that Allah has forbidden Muslims for being friends with the Jews and Christians as they are the enemies of Islam. And if a Muslim does become friends with a Jew or Christian, then they are no longer a Muslim, but one of them. But let's continue reading. Ibn Abu Hatim recorded that Umar ordered Abu Musa to send him on one sheet of balance the count of what he took in and what he spent. Abu Musa then had a Christian scribe, and he was able to comply with Umar's demand. Umar liked what he saw and exclaimed, "This scribe is proficient. Would you read in the masjid a letter that came to us from Ash-Sham?" Abu Musa said, "He cannot." Umar said, "Is he not pure?" Abu Musa said, "No, but he is a Christian." Abu Musa said, "So Umar admonished me and poked my thigh with his finger, saying, 'Drive him out.' He then recited, 'O you who believe, take not the Jews and Christians as friends.'" He then reported that Abdullah bin Utbah said, "Let one of you beware that he might be a Jew or Christian while unaware." So, Ibn Kathir links a story where Umar, one of the 4 rightly guided caliphs, ordered Abu Musa to send him a balance sheet to see what he had spent. Abu Musa got his Christian scribe to make the balance sheet and then gave it to Umar. When Umar saw the balance sheet, he thought that the Christian scribe was very good and wanted him to read in the mosque, but Abu Musa said he can't read in the mosque. Umar then wanted to know why Abu Musa's scribe couldn't read in the mosque and asked if he was impure. Abu Musa says no, but he is a Christian. Then, because Umar found out that Abu Musa's scribe was a Christian, he admonished Abu Musa and said to drive the Christian scribe out, reciting Surah 5 Ayah 51, "O you who believe, take not the Jews and Christians as friends." And then Umar reports that Abdullah bin Utbah said, "Let one of you beware that he might be a Jew or a Christian while unaware." This meaning that Abu Musa would be considered a Jew or Christian if he kept his companionship with the Christian scribe. So, Ibn Kathir linked this story to show that when Umar, one of the 4 rightly guided caliphs, saw Abu Musa had companionship with a Christian scribe, he told him to get rid of his scribe and not to be friends with him, or he would be considered no longer a Muslim according to Surah 5 Ayah 51. Additionally, this tafsir also shows that the argument that Muslims can be friends with non-believers that are not fighting them is not true, as the Christian scribe posed no threat to the Muslims and he was peaceful and friendly with them. So, Quran Surah 5 Ayah 51 clearly shows that Muslims cannot be friends with Jews or Christians, and if they were to be friends with the Jews or Christians, they would be considered no longer Muslims. Now, in this section of the video, we will be addressing the Muslim arguments that try to show that Muslims can be friends with Jews, Christians, and non-believers. Firstly, let's take a look at the verse that Muslims use to say that they can be friends with Jews and Christians and non-believers as long as they aren't hostile towards them. Quran chapter 60, verse 8 to 9. It says, Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you because of religion and do not expel you from your homes, from being righteous towards them and acting justly towards them. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly. Allah only forbids you from those who fight you because of religion and expel you from your homes and aid in your expulsion, forbids that you make allies with them. And whoever makes allies of them, then it is those who are the wrongdoers. So, we can see from Quran chapter 60 verses 8 to 9 that Muslims can be friends with non-believers that are not fighting them, and they can act and treat them kindly and justly. However, the problem with Muslims using this verse to say that they can be friends with non-believers is that this verse was not the final message on the matter of who Muslims can be friends with. Surah 4 Ayah 144 comes after it, and Surah 5 Ayah 51 was the third last revealed chapter to Muhammad. This meaning that Surah 5 Ayah 51 could be called one of the final marching orders Muhammad had. In addition to this, at the time that chapter 60 was being revealed to Muhammad, he was still in his early days in living in Medina, and he did not have the power to implement stage 3 of jihad. If you have no idea about what I'm talking about when I say the third stage of jihad, then I'll leave a link in the description to a video that explains the 3 stages of jihad. So, if Muhammad didn't act friendly towards the disbelievers, it would have caused greater oppression and tension towards the Muslim community. Furthermore, by Muslims using this Quran verse to say that Muslims can be friends with non-believers, it shows that there are conflicting verses within the Quran, with one verse saying that they can be friendly towards non-Muslims and other verses saying that they can't be friendly towards non-Muslims. Another argument Muslims make is that the Quran says to treat non-believers with kindness. We find this in Quran chapter 31 verse 15. This verse shows that Muslims are to treat disbelievers and idolaters with kindness, which is great. However, the problem with this verse is the same as the problem we find with Quran chapter 60 verses 8 to 9, as it is not the final say on how to treat disbelievers, and it was revealed to Muhammad during a time when the Muslims were a persecuted group in Mecca, so they couldn't implement stage 3 of jihad here, or they would have been wiped out and Islam would have died out. Additionally, Muslims also use the argument that some Jews and Christians will get granted paradise. This is found in Quran chapter 3 verse 199 and Quran chapter 3 verses 113 to 114. Now, the problem with Muslims pointing to these verses to show that Jews and Christians are accepted by Allah is that these verses only apply to Jews and Christians that have accepted and believed in Muhammad as a prophet. All other Jews and Christians that actually spent time to read their scripture would have easily recognized Muhammad as a false prophet, and therefore they are condemned to hell. Additionally, some Muslims claim that the word awliya used in the verses only refers to protectors and not friends, but here is a video from CIRA International refuting that claim.
Today's verse comes from chapter 5 verse 51 of the Quran. It says, "O you who believe, don't take the Jews and the Christians for friends. They are friends of each other, and whoever amongst you take them for a friend, then surely he is one of them. Surely Allah does not guide the unjust people." Sam, your take on it.
Well, I mean, I can tell you how the Muslims take it. They'll say that it's not saying that Muslims can't be friendly or have friendships with Jews and Christians, because they'll tell you that the word means you are not to seek their protection, that you don't take Jews and Christians as your protectors, but you can be friends with them. That's how it's often interpreted, actually distorted. And as David is about to show, that even the standard Muslim translations do not understand that word awliya to mean just protectors because it means also being friends with them.
That's right.
Intimate friends. So maybe, David, you want to delve into that a little more deeper, and then we can show that even Omar understood it to mean friendship.
Yeah. Right. So the issue is the word awliya. There are lots of people would understand this to mean some kind of, it can be a kind of protector or something like that. Like people think of the government officials as their awliya and so on. But we do need to look at how the Muslim community understood this, especially in the context of the Quran. So let's just look at a couple of translations so we can see some different ways of that this is translated. So Pickthall, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians for friends. They are friends to one another. So he just goes with friends. Yusuf Ali, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians for your friends and protectors. So he's lumping them together, friends and protectors. Hilali Khan, O you who believe, take not the Jews and Christians as awliya, so he keeps awliya, but then in parentheses, friends, protectors, helpers, etc. So it's awliya would encompass all of these different categories. But guess what? Friends would be included. It's sort of any sort of close quarters relationship here. Shakir, O you who believe, do not take the Jews and the Christians for friends. They are friends of each other. So he goes with friends. Arbery, O believers, take not Jews and Christians as friends. They are friends of each other. So anyway, the point here is very common to just translate this as friends. In which case, this is saying, hey, don't have Jews and Christians as your friends, Muslims. The objection, as Sam pointed out, is no, this actually applies to protectors, and that is something that awliya can mean, but awliya can also mean friends. So it does seem to be applying to close relationships. I did want to point out one sort of quick, obvious problem with this for people who want to translate this as protectors. And one of the main problems is found in the Quran itself, which will give you an idea of how it's understood in the Quran. Let me go ahead and read a verse for you. This is Surah 10, verse 62 of the Quran. Now surely the friends of Allah, they shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. The friends of Allah, guess what? Uses the exact same word there, right? In the Arabic, that uses the exact same word, the awliya of Allah. So our Muslim friends want to say, this means protectors. Wait a minute, so Allah has protectors? You're telling me Allah Almighty has protectors, people who protect Him, and those people don't need to grieve, the protectors of Allah. Allah has bodyguards. Allah's going around and He needs people to protect Him. Is that your claim about what this means? So that's one problem. If you're saying that awliya should be translated as protectors, then great, Allah has protectors who are apparently more powerful than Him because they're protecting Allah. That's one issue. Another is, let's suppose we just go with that. No protectors, right? So our Muslim friends, no, it's not saying friends. We can have friends. We just can't have Jews and Christians as our protectors. So what do you mean by protectors? Like police? No Jewish or Christian policemen? Firemen? Government officials? Guess what? So what you're saying is, hey, Jews and Christians can't be in any sort of position of a protector over us. We're the only ones who get those positions. Guess what? That sort of thing happened in Islamic history over and over and over again, where Christians would be denigrated and would say, Christians would be told the only sort of position you can have is like street sweeper or something like that in Islamic society. Servants, you are our servants. You don't get to have positions where you're in a position, a place where you would be over us in some way. So that happened. So our Muslim friends need to be honest. If you're saying, hey, protectors here, great, but now don't think that you've escaped the problem here. You're advocating a very, very disturbing form of society that is not based on equality. It's based on your superiority and the inferiority of everyone else. But Sam,
yes.
So we've looked at a problem with the Quran. We've looked at just going with what Muslims say. We've got a kind of moral problem here and a problem for society. But we do have in the Muslim sources a bit of an indication how this was understood, that it wasn't simply understood as protector, that it was kind of any sort of close relationship. You can't have these people as your close companions.
That's what it's going to do.
Abandon that.
Yeah. But even before that, if they're going to interpret as protectors, then Muhammad is very inconsistent, or he comes up with revelations conveniently after the fact, because early in Islamic history, Muhammad sent a contingent of Muslims to Abyssinia, who had a Christian ruler, the Najashi, the Najis, seeking asylum and his protection from persecution. So he appealed to a Christian ruler to protect his followers from the persecution of the pagans at Mecca, even though the persecution was exaggerated and Muhammad was the antagonizer. So even if we go that definition, we find Muhammad being consistent.
But that's Surah 5. Surah
Exactly.
5 hadn't been revealed yet.
And that's
so
my
there's no
point. How
inconsistency.
convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient that early on when he is outnumbered and he is
Christians, will you protect me?
Yes, right. When he's outnumbered. Stage 1 again. He gets to stage 2 and right about stage 3, and now he doesn't need their protection. So even there you see the consistency of Muhammad and how Muhammad comes up with revelations that are convenient and expedient. But let's go with how Omar, the second caliph, understood this very passage. This comes from Ibn Kathir, his exposition of chapter 5 verse 51 and chapter 5 verse 57. So here's how he interprets the passage. The prohibition of taking Jews, Christians, and enemies of Islam as friends. Allah forbids His believing servants from having Jews and Christians as friends because they are the enemies of Islam and its people. May Allah curse them. Now notice, this is a Salafi translation. The Salafis translated the word awliya as friends. They know the Arabic, they know the historical context, and they see that the only appropriate meaning for awliya in this context is friends. Allah then states that they are friends of each other, and He gives a warning threat to those who do this. And if any among you befriends them, then surely he is one of them. Ibn Abi Hatim recorded that Umar ordered Abu Musa al-Ashari to send him on one sheet of balance, the count of balance, what he took in and what he spent. Abu Musa then had a Christian scribe, and he was able to comply with Umar's demand. Umar liked what he saw and exclaimed, "This scribe is proficient. Would you read in the masjid a letter that came to us from Hashem?" Abu Musa said, "He cannot." Umar said, "Is he not pure? Is he not pure?" Abu Musa said, "No, but he's a Christian, so he's najis. He's unclean, he's impure, so he can't read it in the mosque." Abu Musa said, "So Umar admonished me and poked my thigh with his finger, saying, 'Drive him out from Al-Madinah.' He then recited, 'O you who believe, take not the Jews and Christians as friends.'" So here's a man who had a Christian scribe, not a protector, someone working for him.
This guy who worked for him.
Just worked for him.
Yeah.
And he said, "Why can't he come to the mosque?" Because Umar didn't know he's a Christian. "Is he impure?" "Yes, he's impure." He said, "Is he pure?" He said, "No." Here you have two things. Number one, that shows you that chapter 9 verse 28, when it says the idolaters are impure, najis, that applies to Christians for their worshiping Jesus as the Son of God. And number two, Omar understood the word awliya as friends. Why do you have this scribe as a friend? Someone that you use and writes things for you, get rid of him.
That's right.
Because the verse says you can't have such friends.
That's right. And he abandoned that. And,
So unless Umar doesn't know the Quran, I don't know what to tell you.
And different variations of course, in 328 that we talked about, already translated as friends. And I like 3.118. 3.118 uses a phrase called bitana, okay? And it says, "O you who believe, take not as your bitana." And then Hilal and Khan explained bitana: advisors, consultants, protectors, helpers, friends. So,
Yeah, and so what we can see here is, if you read the Muslim sources, right, it's pretty clear you're just not supposed to have close relationships with Christians. The exception would be if you're a Muslim and you want to marry a Christian wife so that you can then gain control over her. That would be acceptable. But as far as having a genuine relationship among equals, or having them as in some place of authority in society, or even having someone work for you in an important passage, not in an important way, not just as like a sweeper or something like that, totally unacceptable. But your average Muslim, especially in the West, is perfectly fine with having Jewish and Christian friends. They don't see any problem with it, and they believe that their religion is fine with them having Jewish and Christian friends, even close friends. And what this really shows is that your average Muslim in the West is just living far better life than Muhammad and his companions.
that's right. That's right. Again, a great job.
So we can see here that David Wood, Al-Fadi and Sam Shamoon completely refuted the claim that awliya only refers to protectors and not friends. So, in conclusion, the earlier Quran verse, chapter 60, verse 8 to 9, allows for Muslims to be friends with non-believers that are not fighting them or being hostile towards them. But when it comes to later verses of the Quran, such as chapter 4, verse 144, or chapter 5, verse 51, we find the message changes to Muslims being forbidden from being friends with all non-Muslims, and if a Muslim were to take friends from the Jews and Christians, they would no longer be considered a Muslim, but one of them. Well, that's it for today, guys. You can feel free to download this video, upload it to your monetized channels, and use it however you want. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.